70 plus series brought to you by Gallant IAS. So today in this session, we'll be seeing some of the previous year questions, and by solving those previous year questions, you will be also covering some of, or you will be also revising your basic or core topics from the environment. Okay. So here, see this particular question, it was asked in the last prelims, that is 2021 prelims. The question reads, consider the following kinds of organisms: copepods, cyanobacteria, diatoms, foraminifera. Okay. Which of the above are primary producers in the food chains of oceans? Okay. So this particular question is actually asked from the topic of ecosystem. A very important topic, a very first module of environment, and most often you have a habit of skipping this particular topic, citing it to be the very easiest topic. But you see questions like this, which is asked directly from the core concept or from the basic concept, you can answer it only if you have thorough knowledge with regard to that particular basic concept. Okay, all these things we have already learned in our school days, but see, if you can recollect only, you can actually answer this particular question, which is a very direct question, which is from the basic concept. Okay, so please don't neglect your basic modules of environment, like the ecosystem, then biodiversity, then biogeochemical cycles. Another area where we have a tendency to skip it, the nutrient cycling part. A question last year also, a question was asked from that particular module, so it is very important for you to revise. Okay, at least go through the basic modules of ecosystem and the basic modules of environment at least 1 or 2 times, okay, before your exam. So here, see, the question is from ecosystem part, specifically from the food chain part. Okay, we have seen what is food chain. Food chain is actually, it is depicting the eating habits of the organism. So it is depicting who eats who, or the interdependence of organisms with regard to their eating habits or eating patterns, right? So here, copepods, cyanobacteria, diatoms, foraminifera, and you have to identify which is the primary producers. Okay, which is the primary producers. So see, primary producers in the ocean ecosystem, we know it is actually the phytoplanktons. Generally we say it is the phytoplanktons which is forming the first trophic level in an ocean ecosystem. Okay, it is the phytoplanktons, generally the phytoplanktons. Now you need to specifically know which all are the examples of phytoplanktons in order to answer this particular question. So it is asking the primary producers, which means the first trophic level organisms in aquatic food chain. So it is basically the diatoms, dinoflagellates, cyanobacteria, or blue-green algae, which forms the trophic level 1 or the primary producers in an aquatic food chain. Okay, so that is a very basic concept that we have already learned in our static part. So if at least you know any one of cyanobacteria or diatoms, if you know diatoms itself, you can eliminate 2 options, or if you know cyanobacteria, you can eliminate 2 options. Okay, so it is very important for you to know the basic concept here. So it is cyanobacteria and diatoms which is forming the component of primary producers in aquatic food chain. So here your answer should be option B, 2 and 3 only. See, if you know cyanobacteria is there, then definitely you can eliminate options C and D. And if you know diatoms is there, okay, then you can eliminate A and D. Okay, so if you know either one of them, half part of your job will be done. So it is very important for you to know the basic concept. Then coming to the other two, that is copepods and foraminifera, it is actually coming under the category of the consumer, the primary consumers. Okay, we know phytoplanktons are the primary producers in an aquatic food chain, and there are zooplanktons. Zooplanktons which depend upon the phytoplanktons or the primary producers for their food. The zooplanktons, they are animals like the crustaceans such as copepods, then protozoan, krill, all these are coming under the category of zooplanktons. And foraminifera is also, it is like, it is a unicellular organism. We can say it is a single-celled protist, and it is similar to amoeba, or we can say it is an amoeba-like organism. It is having that similarity with amoeba. So foraminifera is also not coming under the category of primary producer, it is primary consumer. Okay. So that's why here the answer turns out to be option D, 2 and 3. See, a very sure like direct hit question. If such a question is asked, there should not be any doubt coming in your mind. Why? Because this is the very basic concepts that we have learned in our static part. Okay. Yes, another question. The term sixth mass extinction or sixth extinction is often mentioned with in the news in the context of discussion of a 2018 previous year question. So with regard to sixth mass extinction, see mass extinctions even now it is very important. Mass extinctions are like it is very much discussed topic even today, so it is very important for you to know what is literally mass extinction, what does it literally mean, then how many episodes of mass extinctions have occurred in the past, and what is the current mass extinction that is said to have been undergoing. All these things are very important. Okay, so here the question is with regard to sixth mass extinction. Okay, see, it is said that, or studies shows that already 5 episodes of mass extinctions have happened in the past, and currently it is said to uh, be the sixth mass extinction that is undergoing. Okay, and this sixth mass extinction is happening mainly because of the human induced climate factors and climatic changes. Okay, that is why it is also known as the Anthropocene mass extinction. Why? Because it is happening because of the human induced reasons of human induced climatic changes. So here it is asking about the sixth mass extinction. So sixth mass extinction is mainly because of the mankind's over exploitation, misuse of natural resources, fragmentation, loss of natural habitats, destruction of ecosystem, pollution, and global climate change. Okay, mainly because of the human induced factors, the sixth mass extinction is undergoing, which is said to have been undergoing. Now it is the sixth mass extinction. Okay. Now with regard to mass extinction, you need to know what literally does this mass extinction mean. Okay. So we know, when do we say a species has become extinct? We say that a species has become extinct when it has disappeared from the earth surface, right? When it has disappeared from the earth surface, we say that it has become extinct. Now mass extinction is happening when the species disappear from the earth surface in a very much faster rate, that they are not replaced. Okay, that they are not replaced. Why? Because it is getting disappeared from the earth surface at a very much faster rate, that they cannot be replaced. Okay, or we can say that the mass extinction means when the extinction happens, or when the species, or the more than 3 by 4, that is a majority of species, more than 3 by 4, or more than 75% of the species are lost from the earth surface in a very short span of geological time, then we can say that mass extinction has happened. So keep these important facts with regard to mass extinction in your mind. Okay, what does mass extinction literally mean? Okay, now we have already said that there are 5 episodes of mass extinction that have already occurred. Okay, so you need to know which all are the 5 episodes of mass extinction and their related facts and figures. Okay, so with regard to the first mass extinction, keep in mind the first mass extinction is known as the Ordovician mass extinction. Okay, the first mass extinction is known as the Ordovician mass extinction. And the Ordovician mass extinction is said to have occurred about 445 million years ago, in which about 85% of all the species was disappeared from the earth. Okay, so about 85% of the species disappeared from the earth during the Ordovician mass extinction, which is the first mass extinction. Okay, then comes the second mass extinction. Second mass extinction is known as the Devonian mass extinction. Okay, the Devonian mass extinction is the second mass extinction, which actually took place about 375 million years ago, and here about 75% of the world species was lost in the second mass extinction, which is known as the Devonian mass extinction. And the third mass extinction, see, third mass extinction is very important. It is known as it was a severe mass extinction, and it is known as the Permian mass extinction. Okay, the Permian mass extinction, which is also known as the Great Dying. Keep in mind the mass extinction which is known as the Great Dying, it is the Permian mass extinction or the third mass extinction. Okay, and it took about 250, it took place about 250 million years ago, and in this particular extinction, that is a third mass extinction, almost 95% of all the species in the earth surface, it was lost. Okay, about that is why it was a very severe extinction and a very important mass extinction. Okay, it is the third mass extinction, the Permian mass extinction, or it is also known as the Great Die. Then comes the fourth mass extinction. Fourth mass extinction, it is also known as the Triassic mass extinction. Okay, it is also known as the Triassic mass extinction, which happened 200 million years ago, and it eliminated almost 80% of the Earth's species, including some dinosaurs. So keep that point in your mind, including some dinosaurs. The 80% of Earth species was lost in which extinction? In the fourth mass extinction. Okay. Next comes the fifth mass extinction, which is also known as the Cretaceous mass extinction. And in Cretaceous mass extinction, about 65, which happened about 65 million years ago, it wiped out the non-avian dinosaurs. The non-avian dinosaurs were wiped out in the fifth mass extinction, which is known as the Cretaceous mass extinction. Okay, so keep in your mind like what all are the names associated with each mass extinction. If at all a question like arrange the following in ascending or descending order with regard to the mass extinctions, if such a question is asked, you should know. So keep in mind with regard to the names and the mass extinction. And also another important factor, there are certain reasons related with each mass extinction, like it will be the lowering of temperature, or it can be the presence of asteroids, like many reasons are there. Okay, so that reasons associated with each mass extinction, it is also important. Now currently it is the sixth mass extinction which is said to have been undergoing, which is mainly because of the human induced activities, and hence we call it as the Anthropocene mass extinction. Okay. Yes, next question with regard to biogeochemical cycles. This particular question was also asked in the last year prelims, that is 2021 prelims, with regard to biogeochemical cycles or nutrient cycles. Okay, this is also an area where we have a tendency to skip it because it is a very simple topic or a very small topic about the biogeochemical cycles. But here you need to know the very basic concepts, like what all are nutrients, what is the difference between standing state and standing crop, then or what the types of nutrients, the micronutrients, macronutrients, their examples, then the different types of nutrient cycles, what all are the steps associated with each nutrient cycles. All these are very, very important. When we see like this particular question, it seems to be an easy question, but most of the aspirants had a doubt with regard to two of the options, that is phosphorus cycle and sulfur cycle. Okay. Now, see this particular question, here it is asking, among all these four, which biogeochemical cycle the weathering of rock is the main source of release of nutrients to the enter the nutrient cycle. Okay, so the main source, weathering of rocks is the main source. That is the question which is asked. So here, see, weathering of rocks come into picture. Like when we study nutrient cycles, we know that we have divided, or we have studied nutrient cycles under different heads, the types of nutrient cycles, like based upon different factors, like the source of origin of the nutrients. The nutrient cycles can be divided into either gaseous nutrient cycles or sedimentary nutrient cycles. What are gaseous? Gaseous are those nutrient cycles where the source is atmosphere or hydrosphere. For example, the carbon cycle, the water cycle, it is actually gaseous nutrient cycle. Then comes, yes, then comes gaseous, then sedimentary. See, what is sedimentary nutrient cycle? Here the source of nutrient, it is actually the earth's crust, right? It is the earth's crust, or the nutrient, it is mainly present, the major source of the nutrient, it is the earth's crust. Such nutrient cycles we call it as the sedimentary nutrient cycles, right? Then another classification is there, perfect and imperfect. If the nutrients are readily available for recycling, then we classify it as perfect nutrient cycles, and if it is not readily available, like the case of sedimentary cycles, they are trapped in sediments, right? They are not readily available for nutrient cycling. Such nutrient cycles we call it as imperfect cycles. So gaseous cycles are examples of perfect cycles, as well as sedimentary cycles are examples of imperfect cycles. So keep that point also in mind. So here the question is, the weathering of rocks is the main source of release of nutrients to enter the cycle. So with regard to weathering of rocks, see, carbon cycle, nitrogen cycle, it is not coming under the sedimentary cycle. See, if weathering of rock is the main source of nutrient, then definitely that will be coming under the sedimentary cycle, right? So here, carbon and nitrogen, in that way you can eliminate. Coming to phosphorus cycle and sulfur cycle. In these two options is like we'll get stuck, which is like phosphorus or sulfur. Keep in mind, atmospheric presence of phosphorus is not there. Okay, so the major source of nutrient, that is the through weathering of rock, it is actually coming for phosphorus only when we compare phosphorus and sulfur. Okay, so it is here the answer is actually phosphorus cycle. Okay, so phosphorus, we know it is an essential nutrient which is present in plants, like both plants and animals, and it is forming an important part of our DNA, which is carrying the genetic information, and there is no gaseous form of phosphorus. Okay, and most phosphorus, it is actually formed or it is actually stored in rocks and in the form of ocean sediments. So it is through the process of weathering mainly this particular nutrient is entering the nutrient cycle. Okay, so when the reservoir of phosphorus, it can be rocks or sediments, when it is exposed to water, what happens? Weathering can take place, and through weathering, this nutrient is reaching the soil, from where the plants gobble the phosphate ions, and from the plants through food chain, what happens? It is transferred to the consumers. The plants take it up for their energy needs, and once the animals once the animals consume the plants, it is transferred to the animals, and once the animals die, what happens? The phosphate is again released back into the soil through decomposition, and from the soil it can either go to the source, or it can either be again taken up by the plants, entering the nutrient cycle again. Okay, so this is how phosphate is cycling. So here, since it is saying main source, okay, main source, we can go with phosphorus. Okay, so here the answer is option C, phosphorus cycle. So basic concept with regard to biogeochemical cycles, it is also very, very important. Please don't neglect that particular topic. Just have a quick revision recap of each and every nutrient cycling. Okay, nitrogen cycle is another important area which has several steps involved in it with regard to the process of cycling of nitrogen. Okay, so those steps are also very, very important.